JavaScript and Jamstack lovers. Today we're going to embark on a journey through the web's evolution, focusing on a significant aspect that's shaping our digital future, and that is identity. We're going to look at the past, the present, and the future of identity and how Jamstack gets included in this. So starting with long ago, the World Wide Web was born, and in the 1990s, Tim Berners-Lee published the first web page using HTML, and W3C, or the World Wide Web Consortium, was like, "That's cool and all, but let's make it cute." And so they proposed CSS. And then in 1995, your girl was born, or also JavaScript was born as well. And since then, we've made a lot of advances from JavaScript tooling to static site generators, content management systems, easy ways to deploy code, AI's writing code for us. It's wild. It's crazy. But let's skip to the present. One area that we've often overlooked is how we manage our digital identities. As the web grows or grew, whichever participle you want to use, so did our digital footprints. We created multiple identities across multiple platforms, leading to a fragmented and often insecure digital world. And our identity is a little bit more important than we often let on. It's the core for our online interactions. It's often the core for our financial transactions. And as the creator economy grows, it's become our brand, right? Like Justin Bieber went from YouTube to being a big pop star. So who are you? Let's talk about our identities, and I'll talk about mine a little bit, right? So my name's Rizèl Scarlett, but in the past, I was known as Rizèl Bob Simple. I'm also a Black Caribbean woman. I'm also a staff developer advocate, a bootcamp graduate, and I hold a CS degree from Boston University. But I'm also some of the things that I like. Like I like Marvel, I like AI, I like riding my bike and roller skating, and I like lifting weights and a lot of interesting stuff, or maybe boring. And over the years, I've created various identities that represent different parts of me at different times in my life. Like at one point, I was Antigua Baby 200, and then I evolved, and I was like, I am Rizèl.Bobsimple 137. And then when I got a Tumblr, I was like, I'm forever Rizèl. And then I became a developer advocate, and I wanted to really hone in on my personal brand, and I became Black Girl Bites. But with each new service meant a new identity, leading to a fragmented experience. Now I have to remember my username and password on every single platform, and they're not the same, man. They're not. So, and yes, I can use a password manager, and then I forget the password to the password manager when I get a new laptop. There's no connection between any of my accounts. Like Black Girl Bites on GitHub knows nothing about Black Girl Bites on Twitter. And this fragmentation poses a significant challenge. How do we manage these scattered identities efficiently and securely? To remedy this issue of identity, the W3C put together a few specs. And particularly the company I work at, which called TBD, or to be decentralized, they took those specs and they brought them to life using a JavaScript SDK we've called Web5. And it's not to be confused with Web3. We call it Web5 because it does use similar principles from Web3 and some principles from Web2. And we're like, you know what? Let's merge it together. But the way I would describe Web5 is it's an ecosystem to build applications that prioritize data ownership and user privacy and interoperable identity, which really means like a portable identity that you can take with you across the web. So the first W3C spec that I want to talk about that we brought to life is decentralized identifiers, or DIDs, or DIDs, and they're alphanumeric strings that represent a person, organization, or entity, and they're secured by cryptographic key pairs, a private key, and a public key. And that private key is never to be shared with anyone. That way, for security. And DIDs give you control over your identity across different platforms. Now, looking at it, it looks scary. Like, do you really want to be did example 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D? No. But you can have an alias for them. And you might not have realized you probably used a decentralized identifier before. For example, for the social networking app Blue Sky, they use DIDs under the hood, and on top of it, you have your username or alias. Then there's this additional problem, proving that you are who you say you are on the internet and in real life. One of the band-aids on the internet is like multi-factor authentication. You get a text and you're like, okay, I'm running to go get my phone and put the code in to prove that this is really me, so that you can avoid that fraud. And in real life, you have to do things like show your bank statements and your bills and your birth certificate and your degree to prove that you are who you say you are. This is not only inconvenient, it's a security risk. So the W3C created another spec called verifiable credentials. And here's how it works. I'm going to do a little bit of code. Hope the time is on my side, right? So let's say you wanted to prove that you're of legal drinking age with a verifiable credential. And you want to use a VC because that can basically avoid you showing your ID to your bartender, which reveals your whole address, your entire name, your entire birthday, basically everything about you. You don't need to show that. They just need to know that you're over 21. So you would get the DMV to issue something called a verifiable credential to you, or some kind of trusted entity would do that. Now, they're not writing any code. They're using a Web5 application and clicking around and issuing that VC to you. But I'm going to let you see what the code can look like behind the scenes. So first, we're starting off with some DIDs that represent you, and they also represent let's comment this out. They also represent the DMV. That way, no one can pretend that they signed it, and that they are the DMV. You're like, no, this is for sure the DMV because this is the DMV's official DID. And you can see here it has a whole bunch of stuff like private keys and your actual DID string, blah, blah, blah. Next, we have the verifiable credential itself. It says, hey, the DMV is the issuer, you're the person receiving it, here's the expiration date, and now they're going to sign it. The DMV is going to sign it, and what they will return to you is a JWT. And or a JOT, some people call it, or a JSON Web Token. And basically, here you got your JWT. No one can tamper with it. Nobody can touch it. And I think that's cool. All right. So heading back to the slides, what you see on your side is not a JWT. You're going to see this pretty little card or something like that in your phone's wallet, just as you would see like an airplane ticket or a debit card or some kind of thing inside of your Apple Pay or your Google Wallet. So that's what you see on your side. And when you go to the bar, you can tap it to verify. You're like, oh, yep, this is me. And the bartender, their technology is looking for things like, okay, who issued this to you? Is this someone we trust? Oh, it's the DMV. Good. Is this expired? No, it expires in 2025. And then you're like, is this person 21? Yes, they are. So you get to drink. Awesome, right? And if you're like, whoa, this is the future. Technically it is, but it's also the present, the president. People are already using verifiable credentials today in the form of mobile driver's license, digital travel credentials, and even LinkedIn and Microsoft are working together to essentially prove that you work where you say you are. And so I'm inviting you to embrace the future, or rather the present with me, and check out developer.tbd.website to learn more.